I used to think life was predictable, almost like a book you've read too many times. I was Emily Johnson, a 40-year-old woman living in Denver, Colorado. My husband, Richard, and I had been married for nearly 20 years. We raised our only child, Jason, in what many people called a perfect home. At least, that's how it looked from the outside. Inside, though, things were far from perfect. Marriage, I've learned, is like a house. You have to keep fixing the leaks, or one day, the whole roof caves in. And Richard had stopped fixing the leaks years ago. He was distant, distracted, and always buried in work. We rarely ate dinner together anymore. Conversations had turned into short exchanges about bills, schedules, or Jason's college plans. The warmth we once shared had been replaced by silence. One night in early autumn, I sat on the edge of my bed, staring at the framed picture of our family taken years ago during a trip to San Francisco. Jason had been 12 then, his smile wide, his arm wrapped around both Richard and me. Looking at that photo, I couldn't help but feel a wave of sadness wash over me. Our family had felt whole back then. That night, I couldn't sleep. My mind raced with thoughts about Richard's late nights at the office. Was he really working? Or was there someone else? I didn't want to believe it, but my heart whispered the truth I didn't want to hear. Around midnight, I heard the sound of footsteps in the hallway. The door creaked open, and Jason, now 18, stepped into the room. His face was pale, his eyes heavy with something he couldn't carry alone. "Mom, are you awake?" he whispered. I nodded, sitting up straighter. "What's wrong, honey?" Jason hesitated before walking closer. His voice trembled as he said, "I need to tell you something. Something about Dad." Those words made my heart stop. Jason sat down at the edge of the bed, his hands shaking. He told me he had followed Richard one evening after noticing how often he left home late at night. Jason saw him at a restaurant in downtown Denver, not alone, but with a woman. They weren't just having dinner. Jason saw them holding hands, laughing in a way he hadn't seen his father laugh in years. Tears welled in my eyes. My worst suspicion was true, but hearing it from my son made the pain sharper. Jason reached for my hand and said, "I didn't know how to tell you, Mom. But you deserve to know." In that moment, something inside me shifted. I had always tried to be strong, to hold our family together no matter what, but now my son was the one comforting me. My heart ached, not just because of Richard's betrayal, but because Jason had been forced to grow up too fast, carrying a secret that no teenager should have to hold. That night changed everything. The following days were heavy with silence between Richard and me. I didn't confront him right away. Instead, I spent more time with Jason, cooking dinners, watching movies, and talking late into the night. I realized how much I had missed those moments, how much of his teenage years had slipped by while I was too distracted by a failing marriage. Finally, one evening, I gathered the courage to confront Richard. We sat across from each other in the living room, the tension so thick it was hard to breathe. "Richard," I began, my voice steady though my hands trembled, "I know about her." He froze, his eyes wide with shock. At first, he tried to deny it, but when I told him Jason had seen everything, he broke down. "Yes, Emily," he whispered, covering his face with his hands. "I messed up. I didn't know how to tell you. I didn't know how to stop." His admission felt like a knife twisting in my chest. I wanted to scream, to cry, to ask him why, but instead, I just sat there in silence, letting the truth settle. Over the weeks that followed, Richard moved into a small apartment downtown. Our marriage was over. It hurt, but strangely, I also felt relief. I didn't have to live in denial anymore. Jason and I began rebuilding our lives. We supported each other, filling the void Richard had left with love, honesty, and strength. I found a new job at a local bookstore, something I had always dreamed of but never pursued. Jason started preparing for college at the University of Colorado, and though I knew I'd miss him, I was proud of the man he was becoming. Late one night, a few months after everything unraveled, Jason walked into my room again. This time, his face wasn't heavy with secrets but with something else: hope. He hugged me tightly and said, "Mom, I just want you to know, you're stronger than you think. And no matter what happens, I'll always be here for you." Tears filled my eyes as I held him close. At that moment, I realized the truth. My life hadn't ended when Richard walked out. In fact, a new chapter had begun. A chapter filled with resilience, growth, and the unbreakable bond between a mother and her son. The pain of betrayal may have broken me for a while, but love, pure, unconditional love, helped put me back together.